I just want to welcome you here and thank you for being here. We really appreciate your interest, and I hope you get a lot of out of this meeting. Stephanie is going to be presenting, and the goal of this meeting is to give you the information of where we're at and also where we would like to go eventually down the road. So after the presentation, you may ask questions. We'll have a Q&A session, and we will let you know what sits on those tables at the back of the room. So thank you for being here.
Hey, hi everyone. It's so nice that you all came out tonight. I'm so happy to see everyone. My name is Stephanie Petroni, and our group is associated with Thunder Bay Green Space Preservation, which you have probably seen a lot of the work that has come out of that website. Lori Santine has been doing a lot of that work, and she's not here today, but if she could be here, she would. She just can't be. And Heather Robbins has helped coordinate the evening as well. Michael Pilling and Catherine, and Pauline is here, who's been helping with a lot of the work that we've been doing and a lot of the information that we've been getting out to you. And I know that there's many of you in this room that have been doing your part as well, so thank you very much, and thank you again for coming tonight and making your way through the construction. Okay, so tonight is about 791 Arundel Parkland, but our gathering is also about something much larger. This is also about how we value parks and green spaces in Thunder Bay. Most of us grew up believing parks existed to be enjoyed, protected, and passed on to future generations. Over the last several years, however, it's become pretty clear that there has been a transition in how some of our decision makers view these spaces. Increasingly, parks, natural parkland, parkettes, and green spaces are being discussed not only as community assets, but also as development opportunities. And this is where the story of 791 Arundel Parkland begins. So how did we get here? In March 2023, Councillor at Large Casey Attorney introduced a memorandum requesting that the administration identify city-owned lands that could potentially be declared surplus and sold. Importantly, the memorandum explicitly included parkland. This was not a proposal targeting Arundel specifically, but it signaled something significant. Perhaps for the first time in Thunder Bay, public green spaces were being openly discussed as potential development inventory. A year later, Councillor Brian Hamilton expressed disappointment when several parkettes were removed from a surplus lands list, describing them as important to housing targets and intensification objectives. Whether we agree or disagree with those positions, they reveal an important transformation in thinking. Parks and green spaces were no longer being viewed exclusively as community assets. They were increasingly being viewed through the lens of development potential. 791 Arundel transforms an abstract policy discussion into a real place. This is approximately 3 hectares of natural green space and has been used by residents for decades. The city itself has included 791 Arundel within its parkland inventory. This is where our families walk, our children play, and where our wildlife lives. Neighbors and community members from across the city enjoy it every day. Many of us have never viewed this land as vacant property. We correctly viewed it as parkland because that is what it is. So this proposal is not about developing an abandoned industrial site or an empty commercial property or an unused parking lot. This is about developing a long-used community parkland that we have relied upon and cherished for decades. One of the most aspects of this process has been public awareness. According to city documents, only 140 people participated in a housing-related survey associated with the 791 Arundel Parkland development proposal. In a city of approximately 108,000 people, that represents about 0.13% of residents. Not even 0.5% of residents, 0.13%. And only 52 written comments were submitted regarding development at Arundel itself. That represents approximately 0.05% of residents. These numbers are not evidence of public support, and if anything, this suggests that most residents were unaware of these discussions, and that they were unaware that the discussions were taking place. A healthy public process depends not only on consultation occurring, but also on residents knowing public engagement is occurring and having meaningful representation of the public in the engagement process. When we first learned of the proposal in late 2025, it involved approximately 600 housing units and 3 large high-rise apartment towers. Many of us were stunned, not only because of the scale, but because the proposal was also inconsistent with existing zoning permissions. After significant community opposition, the proposal was reduced to approximately 400 units. Current River Councillor Andrew Folds remarked that what was being presented as a compromise largely reflected what zoning already permitted. Whether the original proposal was realistic or not, the effect was significant. Many of us felt blindsided and overwhelmed, and I myself was horrified. I bet a lot of you were horrified too. One argument advanced by supporters, including many of our elected councillors, is that higher density housing helps preserve green space by reducing urban sprawl. Well, that's true. Density can help protect land at the urban fringe. However, that is not the question before us. The question is whether existing neighborhood parklands and green space should be consumed in order to achieve density targets. Those are not the same thing. This debate is often framed as housing versus green space. But that is a false choice. Thunder Bay can build housing and protect neighborhood green spaces. The two goals are not mutually exclusive. This doesn't need to be a choice. And let's just state the obvious. The best way to preserve parkland and green space is by not developing in that land in the first place. Over the past several months, many of us have reviewed numerous city plans and policy documents. Again and again, these documents emphasize access to nature, community well-being, active transportation, climate resilience, urban forests, recreation opportunities, environmental sustainability, and all of these priorities are identified in the official plan, the Recreation and Facilities Master Plan, the Climate Adaptation Strategy, the Urban Forestry Plan, the Active Transportation Plan, the Age-Friendly Plan, and many, many other plans. The questions residents continue to ask is simple. How does removing parkland help achieve those goals? This movement is not opposed to housing. What we oppose is the unnecessary loss of parklands and green space when alternatives exist. Thunder Bay has identified numerous redevelopment opportunities. Vacant commercial properties, brownfields, downtown opportunity sites, underutilized lands, former industrial lands. The South Core alone contains multiple sites already identified by the city as redevelopment priorities. We have the Miles North Simpson block, the Victoria and Simpson corner, Brody and Arthur has 2 corners, and the Main Street corridor, and that's just to name a few. And the former Intercity Golf Center and Ocean Trailer lands shows exactly that Thunder Bay does not suffer from a lack of development opportunities. Known as the Inter-Ocean Project, the endeavor covers approximately 40 hectares, or 100 acres, between Gulf Lakes and Balmoral, and is intended to support a substantial portion of Thunder Bay's housing targets. So the city has linked the project to its goal of creating 22 200 new homes by 2031, and the Inter-Ocean project would host about over 1,260 of those housing units. So to put this into perspective, 791 Arundel is approximately 3 hectares. The city's Central Avenue development encompasses roughly 40 hectares, which makes it 13 times larger than the Arundel Parkland. The city itself has identified these lands as a major housing opportunity capable of supporting thousands of future residents. This demonstrates that Thunder Bay does not face a shortage of land for housing development. So why are the parklands and green spaces being targeted? What on earth is happening down at City Hall? What are they talking about? And why on earth, when 40-hectare housing growth areas already exist, are we debating development on a 3-hectare neighborhood parkland, or any parks for that matter? In addition to the loss of parkland, residents are concerned about increased traffic, pressure on infrastructure and services, changes to neighborhood character, and the long-term impact on quality of life. This is about protecting an important green space, and it is also about protecting the character, livability, and sense of community that makes our current river neighborhood special. But this is not just about 791 Arundel, as we know. This is also about the precedents that will be established. It is a long-used neighborhood parkland. If a long-used neighborhood parkland can be declared surplus and developed, what principle protects the next one, or the one after that? This is why all of us across Thunder Bay, not just Current River, should pay attention, raise our voices, and leverage action. What happens with the 791 Arundel Parkland will influence future decisions about parks and green spaces elsewhere in our community. Recently, the Thunder Bay Muslim Religious Association withdrew its proposal involving Junot Park. But the story revealed something important. In a public memorandum, TPMRA stated that the city identified the site as an opportunity and encouraged them to pursue the planning process. So the city, a few years ago, actually went to the Muslim Religious Association and invited them to build on Junot Park. For many of us, this raises a troubling question. If Junot Park was offered as a potential development site, how many other parks have also been considered? How many might be considered in the future? We know there is a list out there that captures all of our parkland inventory that could potentially be declared surplus and sold. This places parks and green spaces across Thunder Bay in the crosshairs for future development, 1 hectare or even less than 1 hectare at a time. However, the Junot Park decision may also represent a turning point. Following the proposal's withdrawal, Councillor Trevor Bertuga publicly suggested that Council should consider removing Junot Parkland from the city's surplus inventory altogether. Whether motivated by the reaction to Junot Park, growing public concern, or both, it signals that some members of Council may be reconsidering the wisdom of treating parks and green spaces as potential development inventory. This is exactly the type of discussion Thunder Bay Green Space Preservation was created to encourage. While our immediate goal is to protect 791 Arundel, our longer-term vision has always been broader, ensuring that parks, natural green spaces, and community green corridors across Thunder Bay receive lasting protection. If parkland should not be considered surplus at Junot Park, then the same principle should apply to all parks and green spaces across our city. Every neighborhood deserves the same certainty that its valued public green spaces will not one day appear on a surplus lands list. Perhaps the most important outcome of this movement is not simply saving one parkland, but securing stronger protections for all of them. Before we talk about what comes next, I think it's important to pause and recognize what this community has already achieved. Because when people look at City Hall or large development proposals, it can sometimes feel like we have very little influence. But the truth is that we have already made a difference. Over the past several months, neighbors began talking to one another and organizing. Residents have attended public meetings and ward meetings in significant numbers. Community members submitted letters and invitations to council. Local media and independent media began covering the issue. Hundreds, probably thousands of residents have engaged with information about Arundel. A neighborhood survey was conducted. A website, tvgreenspacepreservation.ca, was created. Volunteer teams have begun forming. Lawn sign initiatives are underway. You can get them at the back before you go. Please put one on your lawn. And petition initiatives are underway. And perhaps most importantly, we are changing the conversation. What was once discussed primarily as a development opportunity is now being discussed publicly. Communities, us, create change by showing up, staying informed, and refusing to quietly disappear. We've already demonstrated that we can do exactly that. Public pressure, public participation, and community voices have tremendous influence upon outcomes. Oh, I was still going there. That's okay. And if we continue working together, now I'm going to surprise. And if we continue working together, our influence will be great. We are no longer a handful of concerned neighbors. We are a community movement. This process is not over. While the land has been declared surplus, development cannot proceed without further planning approvals. So we can't give up. And in fact, I think we have a lot of momentum now, particularly with what happened at Juneau. Most importantly, without rezoning, there is no final sale of our parkland. Council must still decide whether the existing planning framework should be changed to permit development. This means we still have an opportunity to influence the outcome. Our voices and our next steps still matter. And this is not the end of the story, but the beginning of a new chapter. So, we need some help. If we want a different outcome, we need continued engagement and we need more bodies around the movement. And tonight is about building capacity. We have a few teams that we are recruiting for at the back where you can sign up. So we've got the petition team, and we've had so many people gathering signatures for this petition. We have over 575 signatures so far, and we know that with more support, we can get that number into the thousands, and that's what we hope to do. So yeah, we got the lawn sign team, we've got the events team. We would really like some help with fun people. I'm not a fun person, so I don't want to be on the events team, but we need fun people for the events team to help plan an event on the Arundel Parkland, and I'll come. And I'll help too. And we also need a creative team to help with graphic design. I'm not sure if you followed the AI controversy. I created a poster using AI. I had no idea about data centers. I do now. So we definitely would love people who are creative and maybe have some graphic design background to help us with, designing communication materials and posters. And then we have the deputation team. We want people to raise their voices, and you don't have to be a professional speaker, you don't have to be a professional writer. The deputations will go before City Council should we have a rezoning meeting, which would be the next step in the development process. So everyone has different skills and different amounts of time, but everyone can contribute something. I didn't change my slide. There's the slide you were supposed to be looking at. So when the rezoning meeting occurs, if it occurs, if Terralex doesn't withdraw its proposal the way TPMRA withdrew their proposal from Juneau, then we would have a rezoning meeting. And that's when we need residents prepared to speak. So council needs to hear from people who value the parkland for any reason, for whatever it's important to you. They need to hear why, and we need you to speak. So if rezoning is still approved, we still have access to the Ontario Land Tribunal process, where planning decisions can be reviewed against municipal and provincial planning policies. And many of us intend to take this as far as we can go, all the way to the OLT. We're ready to go. We've got our bags packed if we need to go. We hope we don't, but we'll go. a community, we will be remembered as much for what we preserve as for what we build. The decisions made about 791 Arundel will say something about Thunder Bay, about us. Tonight we are asking you to ensure the message we leave behind is that when our precious natural parklands, cherished green spaces, and unique neighborhood character were threatened, we showed up, we spoke up, we acted, and we saved 791 Arundel. We can do that. Thank you all again for coming, and thank you for everything that you have contributed to this very important movement. Thank you. So we have a mic at the back. All you have to do is flip the switch on. And you're free to ask a question, make a comment, just to share some thoughts you have. Yeah. Go ahead, Michael.
It'll be pretty quick, so I have band practice starting in a bit. But Stephanie, that was a fabulous presentation. Thank you. All the communications that you've done over the last, 6-9 months, you've been amazing. So just kudos to you for what you've done for this group.
Well, thanks. It's the whole community, really. So thank you. Thank you all again for everything you've done.
Did you want to say something, Catherine?
Well, I'd like to answer questions if there are questions, but Heather and you, we all, and Paul, we could all answer questions. But I would say the next step is something that we envision. We envision a park, a picnic, a barbecue, a celebration on the land if possible. I don't know if we need permission for that, but we will look into that. And I'm really looking forward to help with coordinating anybody who wants to help with a celebration. And also, we have had some ideas of speaking with some individual counselors. We love doing that because they have, every time they talk to us, they give us information that we like to have. Like last time at the Current River Ward meeting, for example, we found out from Andrew Folds that the reason the city is leaning towards parks rather than ground spaces is because developers prefer that. So I would like to call them on the fact that their allegiance is to developers, not to the taxpayers, and that's where their allegiance should be. So anyways, these are some of the things that we would like to do. We may even approach Terralax. Maybe they will also withdraw, who knows. Anyways, we are open to your ideas and to your questions.
One of the thoughts before I roll up, how many people here are renters as opposed to homeowners? We got one renter here? Okay, well, you got to represent for the renters. I think one thing that's important in our movement is to really accentuate how much we know that we need more housing. And the people who are, the pave it, plow it under, build, a lot of these people are renters and they're paying, $1,900 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment right now, which is atrocious. And so we really need to underline that we recognize the need for more housing, more rental housing. But the housing that's going to go on in 791 is not affordable housing. It's very unlikely to be rental housing. It's going to be like was developed on Juno. I think that was by Terralax as well. And basically they're luxury condos, and they're currently renting, if they're renting, for $2,500 to $2,700 a month. So this isn't affordable housing. You don't put affordable housing in places that are car dependent. So I think that there's lots of hay to be made by saying, why are we doing $250,000 homes? Where can we build $350,000 homes, or even $450,000 homes? And let's leave the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 homes. That's not a problem that needs to be solved. That's what's already working in the community. And I'm not against Terralex, I'm not against any of the other developers. We're very fortunate in the city. We have a lot of handy people, a lot of very capable, builders and tradespeople. We want to keep them working as fast as possible. But as Stephanie said, land is not our problem. We have so much land, and if you drive around the city, how many huge signs, like at the end of this road, say, Terralex? We have, 40 acres there, ready to build, right there, at the end of this road, up on Hilldale Road. Another huge sign, Terralex, ready to build. Why do they need the park? They already have that. There's other places, and we've got these areas, these neighborhoods that are affordable, that desperately need new development. And I think that's why it's not a question of building or not building. I think we really need to stress that. It's what is going to make our city, the friendliest, most affordable, most livable city. And it's not by building little parks. The reason why the LPH green space is so popular is because it's a walkable park. People step out of their front door, they turn around, they walk a block or two, and then they're in this big park. And people will say, well, you can go to Centennial. No, you can't go to Centennial unless you have a car. So, yeah, that's why I'm really engaged with this, and I hope to keep volunteering and keep helping out, but right now I gotta go bed. Somebody else take a turn. This microphone's free.
I'm not fully aware of the processes for rezoning and environmental studies and so forth, so forgive me for this question. It's been asked many times before. Many years ago, when the Boy Scouts were coming to have their jamboree in our backyards, Lawrence Timko was the only one that listened to me, and I had to tie myself to a tree behind my house because they were coming with the chainsaws to take down the Carolina poplars in behind Conway Street, which are, never mind about the trees, regardless. And I took him for a walk through the back 40. There wasn't as many trails then as there are now, and said to him, look, this is swamp. If you fill this all in, my house, all these houses are gonna flood. What are you gonna do then? Are you gonna be going good for my house? And coming off 791 Arundel, when you go past the initial houses on Toledo and you cross the Black Path, to the left, on one of the wire roads by the big tall tree, I'm sure everybody knows what the tree I'm talking about. That's all railway ties and shingles and they're like 7-8 feet high, and the runoff is just red. And that again, there's swamp there. We need to keep that marshland. So does the Lake Conservation Authority, who does that? Because they should be allowed to get rid of swamp when it's going to have a marshland, when it's going to have a negative effect on the homeowners in the area.
Are you talking about the marshland that belongs to the province? Because the land that the city sold to Terralex is, I don't think it's swampy. So maybe Paul would know more about it, but
Is that part of the LPH, is that part of the LPH property?
I'm not 100% certain because when you come off the Hudson, you go through this on the trail and you walk across the first field, then behind the houses, and then you'll come to the Black Path. That is, after that is the province, but in there, off the, it's hard to explain unless you know what the walking things are.
There's a pond there.
Yeah, yes, and then there's, people build a little bridge to walk over every year. You know, this gentleman knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It's Mark.
So it's a wetland then?
Yes.
And there would be provincial policies around developing in a wetland, and I'm not sure, it has to be of a significant size. It doesn't mean it has to be huge, it just has to be significant according to the provincial policy. And I don't know how large that wetland is, but it does sound like it's on the LPH property. So we know and we're concerned about how, if 791 Arundel is developed, that will trigger even more development. We know that there's a parcel of land between 791 and the Boulevard Lake Trails. That could also be developed. I mean, that's city owned. There's a piece across from 791 Arundel next to the Chartwell property that's also city owned that could be considered surplus, so like between Chartwell and the Bluffs. And we know that LPH is slated for residential development, or the development at some point. It's owned by the province though, so we don't have much ability through the city anyways, unless the city advocates for us, in terms of what happens there. But it is a good point that you raised, and people should be aware that the property is on a wetland, and we need to look into what the provincial policy is if the time comes.
And I believe that before any land gets rezoned and approved for building, studies have to be made, like the ground studies, the traffic studies, the infrastructure studies. So it's never a given that the rezoning will happen.
First of all, I'm very impaired, so please, I really didn't suppose anything nasty about me, okay? I just wanted to make a very short comment on the idea of, I made a deputation on all these other fantastic people way back in December, November, whatever it was. And I argued again, I live on Toledo, so I'm really into that area, the farm, of course, the pathway, very usual lot. But I found it very interesting that when the city administration people were getting up there and they're talking, the rhetoric was very good, but it was windy. An example of that was, turned me into looking into it, was that one of the gentlemen got up in the city and said something to the effect that the statistics show that Thunder Bay had the second largest acreage of parkland in Canada. Whoa, I said. So I went home, of course, I researched this right away. We don't even rank in the top 10 when you look at the actual facts. There's two research outfits out of Alberta, real estate, who have done studies on it. Thunder Bay doesn't even come up in the top 10. So this kind of stuff really started to get to me. Why are they doing that? And that was a problem I had. So I became quite involved myself. There's other kinds of things too, but that one really struck me. And I have been doing, I knocked on doors in Toledo with getting petitions way back at Christmas time. But in about February, I said, I don't live far from the parkway, from the pathway. Why don't I walk it? I mean, I'll be telling people this very thing you're enjoying could disappear. And I have never had a more enthusiastic, supportive, positive experience with anything to do with this than walking that pathway. Everybody that I talk to wants to sign the petition, wants to sign these signature things we've got here. From just walking the pathway, I am about 130 names right now, specific names of individuals, just from walking the pathway. And they are all very supportive of what these people are trying to do in stopping them from taking away our parkland. So I just thought I'd share that with you.
Thank you, Ivan. Talking about the petition, when I was going door to door to try to get signatures, actually out of the maybe 300 signatures or something that I received, I met about 3 people who were for the development. 3 or 4, so it's definitely, we are definitely a majority, unlike what the city is telling us. They're saying that the people support development when only 146 people were actually contributed their opinion. And anyways, we have a lot of support. The community is behind us. So anything you can do, we would really appreciate it. Yes, Paul?
My email to you, okay, so you can reach out to me if you like, or Catherine, if you have our email, and, I mean, that would be, like, if you don't mind doing that, or if you can't, just let us know, but it is something that, we have thought about and would like to do, and if there's someone, such as yourself, that might wanna, like, jump in on that need, then that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great, thank you. Would you like to do the mic or?
So Thunder Bay has an accessibility committee. There are numerous people that are folks with mobility issues, vision, the whole gamut. And I'm wondering if engaging them for the activity that you have planned, like the community picnic or barbecue or what have you, because I work for one of the community-based organizations, and typically, in my experience, folks with significant issues with mobility or so forth are on very fixed income. They can't afford to go camping, and some of them, you can't afford to take a vehicle all the way up to the Mission Island to go feed the deer and so forth. A lot of the back 40 is accessible for folks with walkers, for folks with chairs. It's accessible, and it's an experience that they can really enjoy as any other member of the community can, and it doesn't cost them anything. They're very, very limited. So I'm wondering if contacting the accessibility committee and inviting them would be something to consider.
That's wonderful, great idea. You wrote it down.
Yeah, I think these are all great ideas, and as you're sharing your thoughts, I have had a thought now too, is that if we can reach out to as many different groups and special committees, and then maybe have a meeting with all of them, so maybe we could start strategizing, that would be great. So if you have any links in or networks, that would be really helpful too. Yeah.
Can I just ask if you engaged Chartwell?
Chartwell? Yep.
And they're for?
We don't want this in our park, and we know, we have the evidence, we went through it tonight. There's plenty of land to develop, and the inter-ocean property, the Central Lands Project is the prime example. That's where you can put 2 or 3 high-rise buildings and focus your intensification and your population density strategies. They can have all of that there, and they can leave our parks and parkland alone. And just, I don't know who our allies are on council, but I think people are starting to think about things differently, and it could be because we're getting closer to election.
I think we need to stack our side, just like what they're doing, the council is doing. So if there are councillors, and maybe I'm just being naive here, if there are councillors who appear to be of the same mindset that all of us are on, why can we not invite them to come to a meeting like this? And show them.
Yes, we
Yeah,
should.
well, have them come in and we're doing exactly what we're doing right now and try and expand on that, because we need to do what they're doing, which is they're politically motivated and we have to do the same thing.
And before elections is a good time to do that because they want to be on our good side, right?
If you're going to rezoning, they have to make a decision on rezoning, is that gonna be with the current council or would that be with the newly elected council, do you know?
That's a big question, and we don't know. We know that Terralux has said that they want to start building perhaps in 2028, 2029. That could be because there would be need to change many plans, including the official plan, to make it fit with the, so that they could potentially achieve the rezoning designation. So we just don't know, and we don't know what the developer's thinking, so Catherine's point to me, the developer's good. Maybe they've decided that we're too much of a headache, maybe they think the central, the central development plans, Central Avenue development plans would be better as well, because it would be less hassle. Perhaps, as they're looking into site plan control, they're starting to understand that there would be way too maybe blasting, or I don't know, problems with the water infrastructure. So we don't know. But so all that to say is we just don't know when the rezoning meeting will be yet, but we certainly hope there isn't going to be one. So, okay, I see that people are starting to get up here. Sorry, Paul, for cutting you off. I was trying to get a mic to you, but, yes, please, we've got the lawn signs. Suggested donation is $5, but if you don't have $5, it's free. Please take one and put it up. If you know your neighbors might want one, please bring that to your neighbors and put it up. Also, if we don't have your email address, please get it to us so that we can continue to stay in touch. And